Don't Link, it's your boy Ink. Welcome to the Commentary Show. Guys are doing well, so having a wonderful day on this 14th April 2025. There's a beautiful sunshine behind me. Today, we're talking about mentors. So lately, we've been getting a lot of people saying, hey, you're motivational, you inspire me, hey, really fuck with the content. Thank you so much for everything. And although there's a lot of people that are really helping me out nowadays with the content and behind the scene, I got a lot of people that are in my circle, and I'm extremely happy and I'm extremely grateful for what's going on. But there is some props I have to give. And, I think about people saying that, and I feel like a mentor, right? And then I think about the mentor that I had. And the mentor that I had were amazing people. And I wanted to give this video to them as a very simple shout out, right? So we're gonna be starting at a very, very, very young age. Now, these mentors aren't gonna be authoritative figure, right? They're not gonna be authoritative figure. So there's teacher in there, right? Which I'm super grateful that I had a good teacher. The reason why we're not adding those teacher up is because not because they got into the business for helping, right? So those mentor, what really meant a lot to me, right? Were because they didn't have to do what they did. They didn't have to do what they did, right? And those mentors were super important to me because, even the teacher, like, wow, you believe in me. I didn't believe in myself, so it was super important. So when I talk about teacher, not about celebrities, because celebrities is super easy, right? Aziz, Rich Piana, Chester Bennington, super easy. And you guys know, and the thing with celebrities is they might be your role model too for a completely different reason, right? So then it becomes more of an opinion or a different opinion, or again, a clashing ideal versus giving homage to the person, right? And lastly, when I talk about teacher, I'm also talking about bosses. Because I had some great bosses, I had some horrible bosses, but some great bosses. Now, the reason for that is because, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like, once again, they're in the business. So for me, you're in the business to help children, you're a teacher. You're in the business of leadership, you have leadership. The boss that I have, were they great people, amazing people? Absolutely. Was it more so leadership than just genuine human kindness? I don't know. I don't know. And that is a little bit of an issue. It's a little bit of an issue because you're in a position of, well, of course you want to help, but that's their, not their job, but their person. It's part of their nature versus something that's just kind. So the first one, I'm gonna have to go with Sammy. And I think this is something beautiful and unsung hero. Those people will always be unsung heroes. So I was a kid. Sammy was my first mentor. Was really important to me because Sammy, and again, those people are gonna be they cannot even be friends, because then those people, if they're your friends, it's funny. Those people, if they're your friends, they have this, and I think for the teacher and the students, the bosses too, that an interest in you because you were their students, or you were part of their class, or you were part of their team, right? So I feel like it shouldn't equate, it shouldn't work, right? So Sammy, we had a very similar background and very similar humor, and Sammy was the son of an Egyptian mom. You know how it is. My mom's also Egyptian, and it was very, very mama bear. So he would take me aside, and it's funny because I was 18 years old. I was still I was 18 years old and still going to the day camp, right? And he would treat me as an adult, and he was the only one that treated me as an adult. Like, for example, I fucking love Sammy, but the reality is he was a bad influence in the best way possible. Sammy was the very first figure of a big brother that I ever had. And I feel like a lot of those mentors were big brothers. So it's nuts because with Sammy, when you swear, there was this punishment that you have to do 10 push-up, and it would tell people, I don't want to do push-ups, I'm not gonna swear. With Sammy, it's like, how much can you do? So he would push me to swear if I do more because I was overweight. So it was his way of saying, hey, exercise fatso. Also, he would talk about Colt. He would talk about how he gets girl. Like, he would talk about how um, it didn't really matter when it was a married woman, or it didn't matter when it was corn. He would talk about porn a lot, right? And again, you would think that this is weird for camp counselor. Talk about this with a camp kid, if you will, that was 18, right? And he treated me like his younger brother. And the funny thing is, he would really talk about like a lot of stuff. Like, for example, right? Um, so this is a story that I like to say, even though this is possibly not the brightest moments in my lifetime. But I was at the time with my life where camp was gonna be boring no matter what. I was 18 at the camp and I was doing activity that was meant for 13, 14 years old. So I started manipulating them. And I was like, and back then the movie Minions were really important, was really popular. So I was like, hey, who wants to be my minion? And then me. So I'm like, okay, well, get me this pack of cards, or get me a comics, or get me some water. And I would make them my little, But then again, it wasn't, there was no ill intent. It was just like, I'm bored, let me have fun my own way. And Sammy saw that, and he was like, yo, that's actually pretty funny, right? And it was also this case, and Sammy really treated me differently. And again, not the best camp counselor move, but still. So what he would do is Sammy was a kind of like a rule breaker, right? Kind of like a rule breaker. He would say, people were asking for his Facebook. Said the only one who's gonna get my Facebook here is Stefan because he's 18, right? The reality is like we're close, but then Sammy, and so what I like about Sammy is, again, sort of a bad influence, but it was more so like, this is real life. I'm not trying to be a bad influence. I'm not trying to tell you to do shit. See, I would make jokes and I would push the kids to do things that were funny because I was bored, right? Of course, nobody was injured. I didn't do anything that was crazy, but it was funny. We had this game of it. Jenga. Oh my god, this is bad, dude. This is bad. Now that I look back at it, it was annoying. But if you had a big brother, you know exactly what it feels like. So if we had this game, the most popular game there was Jenga. So I had this kid. Wait, this is this is so bad. This is so bad. I had this kid sit. Wait. They were playing Jenga on the table, and I had this kid sit at the table, never playing Jenga. And when it fall, I would make him scream Jenga, or things like, or I told the kid, because he was, he was, he was walking very like, I'm gonna say that he was walking very like reserved, right? So I made him believe that cool kid were walking like penguins. So he started walking like a penguin, and this is bad. But then, in the same time, it was this bigger brother feeling to it because people started making fun of him for walking like a penguin. So his whole walk changed, and it was like the original. So he did improve at the end, right? And Sammy also was doing that. So Sammy would also like a rule breaker. He would talk and we would swear a lot. So, for example, he was French. He was speaking French. I was speaking French, and we were saying stuff in French, and nobody understood. But Sammy also did some pretty messed up stuff. For example, he made one of the other camp counselors fall in love with him, and he fucked her, and then he left her, which is okay. But then he did it in the middle of summer. So then there's this cold atmosphere the whole summer, And because me and him were so close, I stood by his side because I'm loyal. But then I felt bad for the girl because I knew that what he did was wrong, But Sammy was all about. Sammy was all about this world is fucked up, One of his favorite movie was American Psycho. One of his other movie was It from Stephen King. Right? So the thing I would do, he was one of my hero because I fucking love the guy. But now that I look back at him, there's a lot of things that he did that was not cool. For example, we had a sleepover as I think it was a white night where you don't sleep, right? And he put a movie that was It. And there were kids that was 12, 13 years old. I was way too scared for kids, right? I was like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing, dude? And in this case, in a lot of cases, I was being treated in a better way. I was treated in a much better way than other kids. So it wasn't as, I wouldn't complain as much, but it still wasn't cool. It's still thing that you shouldn't do. So that was a bit of a, I wouldn't say, I wouldn't say a problem, but it was just like, dude, what are you doing? However, we stopped talking, and then I remade another Facebook. I was possibly 21 years old, and I had him back, and he was married. And he was like, yeah, I'm married now. And the way he was acting, he was very different. He was very matured. So I feel like he was having his bachelor years. I think he was having a last bit of fun before he got serious, and I think that was always the plan. It was good. The second mentor that I had was Simon Twim Garceau. This guy was fucking incredible. Well, another guy that took me on his wing. So Sammy, and I know what you're saying. Sammy was a position of authority, so why am I talking about him? Well, Sammy didn't care about the job. He didn't care. He didn't care about the job. He was always making fun. He was always joking. So, for example, when a kid was doing something bad, he would give him shit, right? Or, yeah, it was more so that he was kind of the cooler older brother versus the bully. So, for example, somebody did something bad. Oh, the girl, which was the girl that he kind of played. She was the one that gives. She was the one to give shit, right? To give punishment. And him, he was always there for if there's a emergency. So, for example, emergency. Oh, there's a kid missing. He's gonna find her, right? But he wasn't constantly. He wasn't a camp counselor, per se. He was just a caretaker, you know. And at some points, like I really feel bad for the girl. Now that I'm older, I really feel bad for the girl, right? But again, I understood where he came from. And it's funny how this mentor, I should also say that what he taught me, just to have fun. Just to have fun. I was in a camp, right, where I was watching, and I think it was kind of like not a troubled teenager, but kind of like a fuck you, you know? I was listening to Hollywood Undead. They were swearing a lot. They were saying, it was songs like Undead. Everywhere I go, bitches always know that Charlie Senior's got a weenie, daddy loves the show. And I was singing that at the camp, right? And I would do that. And the funniest thing is, I was kind of defiant. I think I was looking for his approval. I would go to camp, right? And I would hold my hands like that, right? And I would sing, I think it was number 5. Let's pretend like, because I don't remember number 5, let's pretend like it's everywhere I go. So, everywhere I go, bitches always know that Charlie Senior's got a weenie that he loves to show. Bitch, everywhere I go, bitches always know that Charlie Senior's got a weenie that he loves to show. Grab beer, grab rear, shave beer, put on some scene gear. Gotta get drunk for my mom, wake up, break up with my girlfriends like can dang sluts. So I would count down. I was kind of defiant. So he really taught me that it didn't really matter the rules. It didn't matter the present sense of, okay, well, there's this in place, the system in place. I think it was about going against the system, right? In a more meaningful way than just saying fuck the system. See, Sammy taught me to be kind of an anarchist, but not necessarily to hurt others. There's never a time where you hurt somebody. There's never a time where, well, you hurt their feelings, but they were both adults, right? It wasn't in a position of power. It was just something mutual. So as they're going against the system and always having fun, right? Always having fun. And it's nuts because I remember her and she was never laughing. She was kind of super serious. And him, he was just chill, right? So he was a cool one. But still. So the next one on the list is Simon. Simon, I told you guys about Simon before. Simon was just a cool dude. Simon, I met him, I was working at IG. And Simon was really, really a gem. Simon was a guy who really took the time to talk to people, right? And that was leadership. Simon had leadership. So he was talking to me when we were doing I was at the bakery. And we really have conversation, right? And I don't know why. I think he liked me. Not in a, but he was like, yo, give me your number. And at that time, I'm like, okay, weird, but okay. And I gave my number. And I remember one of the first things that he sent me. It's like, yo, I'm coming with a girl. Can you help me out? And I was like, okay, no problem. He said, put me some cookie aside. So one of the very first thing that we did together was this girl, and I was like, here you go, monsieur. I said his real name. Thank you so much for being with us, to keep on showing with us, as you asked, as you reserved. And then you looked like a fucking G. You looked like a fucking G, which was really fun. Looked like a fucking G, and it was nuts because Simon was also a nice guy, but a bit weird. Because he would text me like, "Hey, this I'm fucking good, so fucking good." Like, "Hey, we're going out with a friend. You wanna come? Bring $20, right?" And I brought exactly $20. And Simon, we went out, and it cost like 120 or 150. I don't remember, because we're a group, and people were like, "Oh, why did he bring $20?" And Simon was like, "He brought $20 because I told him to bring $20." And it was always testing loyalty or testing obedience, right? But then Simon really helped me out. So when I had this job, he helped me find another job. When I lost the IGA job, he helped me out. He found me a job. He really taught me a lot. So we would watch movie. We watched together. We watched Citizen Kane. We watched. It's nuts because with Simon, it was like with Sammy. He taught me about being an anarchist. Simon was. He was teaching me how to be more professional, how to go into the society. And with Simon, the reason why he did that, Sammy was only for fun. Simon was a beautiful reason. He was very fortunate. He had a rich family, right? And he wanted to give back. But he didn't believe in giving back money wise. Believe in giving back experience wise. See, he would teach me stuff like Theorem Pythagore, which is basically the basic need, the higher needs, the utmost needs that you get that are luxury, right? That's basically the pyramid. He would teach me stuff like that, and he would get me a job. And then, so with Sammy, we've lost touch because of that, because we weren't talking. With Simon, it was a really bad case. So he had this restaurant, and they would hire me, right? But the restaurant wasn't doing so well, so they would only hire me like a couple of days a week. And then what ended up happening is, was the gelato shop next to him, and the gelato shop, it was bad. It was really bad. It was a really bad experience. The guy was nice. I had a lot of coworkers that was really nice. However, the guy was bad because what ended up happening was he had drug abuse issues. So he came in and he borrowed money from him, right? He borrowed money from me, and then I don't know how he knew, but Simon texted me. And he was like, "Dude, does he owe you money? Because he owe us money." And I lied, because I couldn't buy the end that was feeding me. And I think I was still very naive. I believed that he was going to bring me back the money. See, to me, you owe money to someone only if you don't plan to pay them back. If you're going to pay them back, doesn't matter if it takes a month or a week. It's still, you don't owe me shit. You don't owe me shit. If I know that you're not going to pay, or that you're going to avoid me, now there's going to be a problem, right? That is a big problem. And that's pretty much it. So that was it with Simon. And then after that, the relationship wasn't the same. Then the next one was Francis. Francis is a very special case. Francis, you guys heard about him. Shuktub, he was my boss. So again, the rule of boss applies. But Francis was a very different guy. Francis was a dude that had a lot of leadership. He had a military background. And he was running a tight ship. I'm still recording. Nice. He was running a tight ship, but it was in a way that, okay, well, for fuck's sakes. Oh, it's gonna be disgusting to do. Because then I have like 7 parts of nature corn. I'm not gonna put them together. So it doesn't really matter, but still. So with Francis. And he would come and he would choose his employees. So, for example, he was a manager, and as much as the winter would go, he would kick people out. And he kept me for some reason. I wasn't the best employees, and he kept me, right? And he kept me, and I got really mad at him because he kept me, but then he was like, "I'm keeping you because I like you, because you speak English. I don't speak English, so you're really helpful. You're my right hand man." Right? And I don't understand why I didn't understand what he meant, because then when the summer came back, we had a lot of employees. And he was like, "Yo, these are your guys." And he took a step back, and he wasn't working as much. So I was really mad at him because I was like, dude, you're such an asshole. You're such an asshole, you know, because you're kind of using me, right? You're kind of using me, and he did use me, but it wasn't a good way. So Francis taught me a lot about like just that. It was weird because if you look at Sammy, it was about fun. If you look at Simon, it was professional. Francis was in between, right? It was like how to be professional at work but still have fun. Then the reason why I call him a mentor today is because he did teach me a lot about life. Like for example, right? The sole reason why we were able to pass the 8 years, even though we were bullied, I did like the last job that I had. I liked the people. Did I like the job? I think it was cool. It was easy. And the reason that we were able to survive was because of Francis. Francis told me to do the much possible with what I had. For example, listening to music or just being able to pass the time faster, right? Now, the reason why I call him a mentor is he wasn't really a boss. He was a guy that stepped up. And just like me, he did to me what he did to him. They kept him around because he had leadership. And then they told him, well, you're in charge. We're not going to pay you more. Francis was there for 4 years. He was making the same salary as I did. But then when something was wrong, they came to him. Hey, Francis, why is you guys doing that? Why is your guy doing that? So he did to me the same thing they did to him. Then it wasn't a fair situation, right? And that's pretty much it. I think that's the reason why I see him as a leader. The mentor. There's a bunch more, but the one that I'm thinking about are either friends or authority figures. It doesn't apply. So there you go. Those are my mentors.